Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to my cherished viewers. I hope everyone is doing good. I have been talking about the documentation and regularization of immigrants in Portugal and giving out some important updates on the requirements, the processes, and any new update that may be beneficial to the immigrant communities or expats who are living in Portugal. Once you come to Portugal, there are a lot of processes that you need to follow in order to get regularized. And these processes keep changing due to the effect of the coronavirus, which broke out in 2019. So since then, things has been changing, and the government has been trying to keep the immigrants in Portugal, whether legal or illegal, safe, because this is the time to show their support for the immigrant communities and not be discriminatory. So once you had come to Portugal, and you want to put in your document to get regularized, that is, to get a residence permit in Portugal, you are supposed to put in some document which is called manifestation of interest. And back in the years, once you put in this document, it doesn't take too long to be accepted. And once it was accepted, these were readily available for people who wanted to get dates or schedule an appointment. But because of the influx of more immigrants and the COVID, which broke out in 2019, things have been changing, and people have been agitating on how these processes were handled, because at first the vacancy or the slots were readily available, but since 2020, from 2020, self will open a slot for appointment for probably half an hour, and by the time you realize, it is closed. So it has been a suspect that probably there are some people behind this that are selling these slots as a means of like a business. So there has been a lot of agitation which has been going on with the immigration lawyers and the government, and I think the government is responding to these actions, because someone may have put in his manifestation of interest into 2020 and got it accepted in 2020, but still do not have appointment. But someone may put his manifestation of interest in 2021 and will be fortunate enough to see the slot open and make a date for the appointment. That means that the system has not been fair to the person who got his acceptance earlier, that is in 2020. So there has been a lot of agitation, which now I think the government has listened, or is going to listen to the plea of these lawyers who have been fighting to get this work. So I will say that this is a very good news because SERF will be scheduling residence permits and they will follow the order of request. Thus, they are going to schedule appointments in order of acceptance of your residence. So if your manifestation of interest was accepted earlier, it means that you are going to get your appointment earlier than the person who came after you. So that is going to be the trend that SERF is going to follow. So I want to read this to you to my audience, knowing the various views from the various media houses, both print and unprint. And it says that foreigners who come to work in Portugal, namely in agriculture, can settle with a foreigner who is in Portugal. Thus, the government will change the form of scheduling for granting of residence permit to immigrants. The government will change the form of scheduling for the granting of residence to immigrants. So as I said in my earlier preamble, it used to be like, as I said in it, but the government has paid heed to the cry of immigrants and is going to change the form of scheduling for immigrants. So the Aliens and Border Service, it is shortly termed as SERF, will schedule the interview to complete the process and according to the order of request. It was demand of the association that support the communities and also a way to avoid fraudulent capture of vacancies. So as I said in the video, it is assumed that there are people behind the release of dates in a short time and it gets closed. So it is assumed that people may be having connections inside and they will get it open once they get the date and then it's closed. So I think that they see these actions to be fraudulent and they have complained about it. Even Minister Eduardo Cabrita admitted in the Parliamentary Commission that there was illegitimate appropriation of the digital agendas, which is being the result of an investigation. The change is expected to be made by October. So by October, this change is going to be effected because it is in Parliament and they are deliberating upon it. Because he see it as illegitimate appropriation of these appointments or agendas. So SERF is currently and based on the principles of equality, opportunity, and accountability, analyzing the most appropriate methodology for scheduling the chronological order. So SERF is going to do this chronologically. As I said earlier, those who got their MI accepted earlier are going to get the appointment earlier. So it will be fair and free for all. Taking into account the date of acceptance of the expression of interest. So it adds that it foresees implementation by the end of the third quarter. So by October, this implementation should be happening. Immigrants advocate that residence permit be immediately granted to whoever has the expression of interest approved. So they are advocating that the permit should be granted to persons who have the expression of interest approved. So a collective of Brazilians called Comité dos Imigrantes in Portugal for the Liberation of Residents organized this in July 11th that people should be given residence immediately. All those who have their MI accepted should be given their residence immediately, because they are planning a demonstration in Lisbon and Porto to claim this action. So there has been a lot of agitation from immigrants and their lawyers trying to get things at the right place. So I think this is a very good information and a very good news to us as an immigrant, and to those who have their MI accepted and they do not have appointment for capture yet. A foreigner who has a tax number, an employment contract, and a social security registration can apply for a resident permit via the internet. This will have to be approved by the SERV, which subsequently sends a password to schedule the trip to a delegation. It is regularization of immigrants under the Article 88 and 89. So the Article 88 is for the employed and the 89 is an independent for foreigners. The delay were aggravated by the pandemic and the closure of many branches. In addition to the fact that the immigrants are not able to schedule face-to-face services when they receive password to do so. The vacancies open sometimes during the night and quickly sells out, which raises doubts. There are those who have been waiting for years and are overtaken by those who arrived less time ago. So, as I said earlier in the introduction, people may have received an acceptance, but others come and overpass them. So they see this as not fair and should be changed. So an experience from Alberto Motors from the solemn delegation in Beja is always waiting for the vacancies, because many immigrants are asking for help without success. It seems that vacancies open at the end of May at 4 in the morning. There is no prior information about the opening, and they were immediately captured. One or another person says that they paid for the regularization and that they got a place, but these issues are for the authorities to investigate. So as I said, it is under investigation, because people think that there is something in it which is probably need to be known, because it opens and closes without people knowing when, or getting prior information about the opening. So they think that they should be investigated to know what is happening. One of these processes, so people have been waiting for 3 years, and there are a lot of processes that is going on. So a woman shared her experience that she is 46 from Cape Verde Island, St. Vincent. She arrived in Lisbon in 2018, started working. She then went to a restaurant in Cuba, Alentejo, where they made her work on contract. She started thinking about regularization. Now she put in the document, filed out the expression of interest form in March, because she came in 2018. And this was approved in July after delivering all the required documentation. She received appointment password message in April 2020 and still hasn't been able to make an appointment, although the bosses are always trying. So this woman is now a domestic worker in Lisbon with a couple she has been working with. And she is troubled because, I want to quote her words, saying that I am always waiting to receive good news, but nothing. I want to know. I want to. I went to SEF. They gave me a phone number to schedule. I called at 2:10 p.m. They answered at 2:45 p.m. There is a delay in there. To say I had to say I want to make an appointment over there. They told me, no, you cannot make an appointment on the phone. You have to do it online, which in my previous or in the information given earlier, I said that they think that there is something fraudulent happening with that. So we never know when vacancies open and disappears in an instant. She has 3 children. Only the youngest is with her and she misses them. She can't visit them because she doesn't have documents. So this is an experience from this woman who really wants to get her document in order to visit her children back home. And it is sad that such things is happening to our sisters and brothers out there. But let us pray everything comes to a fruitful end. But SERV has been providing statistics of the number of people that has been regularizing and getting documents, which I think they can do better. So in what they say in 2020, they said that SERV provided 24,350 assistance for the granting of residence permit under Article 88 and 89. 10,456 fewer than in 2019. 34,806. This year, in which the branches closed 62 days because of the COVID, a total of 48,000 calls were made for the residence permit, of which 10,000 under Article 88 and 89. 48,000 people are scheduled until September 30th. So they have 48,000 people scheduled till 30th of September of this year. So it means that even if you are expecting a date for an appointment, it should be after September, because all these slots have been booked, unless they add more staffs and open more slots. So among these were 28,000 workers, that is independent and independent, that is Article 88 and 89. So this has been a very worrisome experience for immigrants in Portugal, because the pandemic and the delays led to government to grant same right. But the government, let's commend the government here, because of the delays, the government has given same right to holders of people who have expression of interest, because formally, if you do not have a residence permit, it was very difficult for you to do a lot of things. But now things has changed, and because of the pandemic and the delays in the processes in the SEF, government has granted same right to immigrants who are yet to be regularized. But you know what most of us, or most of immigrants living here, want is that they have their documents and they can visit home and come back, because most of us wants to go home and come back. And without this regularization, you cannot exit the Schengen zone and return. So it has been pity, or it's been painful, that Someone may have come in 2017 and still we are in 2020. The person is not regularized and cannot go home. I think that this is a very good information for my audience. This is going to help us understand the whole situation and help us to prepare for the upcoming slot. If you enjoyed this video, kindly subscribe to my channel, like and share. Thank you.